Some home trends look stylish when installed but make buyers lose interest the moment they walk in. Choices once considered modern and timeless are starting to backfire, making a home feel dated faster than expected. If you are renovating or selling, step back before these decisions become drawbacks. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. All-white kitchens. All-white kitchens were once seen as the safest, most timeless choice. They felt fresh, bright, and gave off a magazine-ready impression that promised effortless elegance. But in real-life use, the brightness becomes a constant maintenance task. The core issue is that white surfaces reveal everything. Every fingerprint, every coffee splash, every faint trace of cooking grease shows up as a stain you cannot ignore. A smudge of olive oil near the stove turns into a yellow shadow that lingers even after wiping. Faint streaks of detergent stay visible along cabinet doors. Scratches near drawer pulls darken over time. When sunlight enters through the window, every flaw becomes visible. You wipe a surface clean, walk away, and within an hour, a new fingerprint appears. After a few months, the kitchen no longer feels crisp. Cabinets near the cooking zone develop a faint yellow tone no cleaner removes. Buyers don't see clean and timeless. They see a kitchen that demands constant attention. Today's buyers want warmth, character, and surfaces that hide everyday life rather than expose it. If you still want a light kitchen, warm whites with a soft cream undertone absorb light instead of reflecting every imperfection. Painted islands in deep green, soft navy, or natural oak finishes add personality without overwhelming the space. Barn doors were once seen as a charming way to add character and save space. They felt rustic and intentional, and seemed like a practical alternative to traditional swinging doors. But in real-life use, barn doors fail at the one thing doors are supposed to do. The core issue is that they do not seal. They hang in front of the opening rather than closing into it, leaving a permanent gap around the frame. When someone uses the bathroom on the other side, every sound passes through clearly. Light from the bedroom seeps through the gap at night, creating a bright strip along the wall. The door wobbles when you slide it, knocking gently against the wall. Dust collects on the top rail and falls onto the floor whenever the door moves. A faint draft enters through the side gap. Over time, the hardware loosens. The track shifts and the wheels squeak. Buyers don't see charm. They see a door that offers no privacy, no sound barrier, and no insulation. Real estate agents often advise replacing them before listing. If you still want the rustic look, a pocket door with a wood-paneled face disappears into the wall while sealing completely. A solid wood door with traditional hinges and a matte black handle keeps the aesthetic without the problems. Vessel bowl sinks. Vessel bowl sinks were once seen as a sculptural touch that elevated an ordinary bathroom into something hotel-inspired. They felt modern, artistic, and signaled luxury the moment you walked in. But in real-life use, the sculptural beauty becomes a daily frustration. The core issue is that the bowl sits above the counter rather than within it. Every drop of water, every splash, every soap residue ends up on the surrounding surface. When you wash your hands, water beads form a ring around the base of the bowl that must be wiped each time. Toothpaste splatters land on the counter instead of falling into the basin. A thin film of soap collects at the seam where the bowl meets the stone. Hard water leaves white mineral spots on the outside of the bowl. You clean the inside of the sink, then realize you have to clean the outside as well. After a few months, the seal between the bowl and the counter starts to discolor. Mildew appears in the seam where water has been sitting. Buyers don't see sophistication. They see a fixture that requires twice as much cleaning as a normal sink. Today's market prefers practicality. If you still want a statement vanity, an undermount sink built into a thick stone counter delivers the same clean look without the maintenance. A semi-recessed basin sits partially inside the counter, giving height without full exposure. Shiplap Overload. Shiplap was once seen as a warm, textural way to add character to a plain wall. It felt cozy and intentional, with a coastal or farmhouse charm that promised personality without complexity. But in real-life use, what worked as a small accent has been pushed too far. The core issue is repetition. When shiplap covers entryways, hallways, kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms, the texture stops feeling intentional and starts feeling forced. Dust settles deep into the horizontal grooves and is almost impossible to wipe out with a regular cloth. In rooms with humidity, the grooves trap moisture and a faint mildew smell builds up over time. Light from windows casts long horizontal shadows across the planks. You run your hand along the surface and your fingers catch on the seams. The texture demands more than it gives back. After a few months, the white paint between planks starts to yellow, especially near kitchens or fireplaces. The seams collect cobwebs visible only when light hits a certain angle. Buyers don't see warmth. They see a trend that has already passed its peak. When shiplap covers an entire home, rooms blur together rather than feel distinct. If you still want texture, a single accent in a quiet corner reads better than full rooms. Vertical board and batten paneling in a muted color provides character without the dated feel. Open shelving was once seen as a way to make a kitchen feel airy and curated. It felt minimalist and intentional, with a relaxed European appeal that promised charm without the bulk of closed cabinetry. But in real-life use, the shelves become a constant performance. The core issue is that nothing stays hidden. Every plate, every glass, every mug is on permanent display, whether it deserves to be or not. A thin layer of greasy dust settles on every item within a few weeks, especially on shelves near the cooking zone. Mismatched mugs you use every day sit beside decorative ceramics, creating visual clutter. The top edge of every plate accumulates a faint film you only notice when you reach for it. Light catches the dust on the wood between items. You move a bowl and the outline of where it sat is darker than the wood around it. After several months, the shelves require more upkeep than the rest of the kitchen combined. The curated look that worked on day one becomes harder to maintain. Buyers don't see creativity. They see storage that demands constant styling. Today's buyers prefer closed cabinets that hide daily life and let the kitchen rest visually. If you still want the open feel, glass front upper cabinets give the same visual lightness while keeping items protected from dust. A single floating shelf above a sink can work as a small accent if used sparingly. Like this video, if you've seen any of these in a home before. Floating vanities were once seen as a sleek, contemporary upgrade that made a bathroom feel larger and more architectural. The gap beneath the cabinet seemed to expand the floor and lighten the room. But in real-life use, the gap creates problems. No one anticipates. The core issue is that everything that falls or splashes near the vanity ends up underneath it, in a space awkward to reach and impossible to keep clean. Dust gathers along the wall behind the vanity in a thick gray line that becomes visible the moment you bend down. Water from washing hands or brushing teeth drips down the front of the cabinet and pools on the floor beneath. Hair clippings and cotton swabs roll under the cabinet and remain there for weeks before anyone notices. You step into the bathroom barefoot and the floor beneath feels gritty in a way the rest of the room does not. After several months, the wall behind develops a faint shadow line where dust has settled. The floor finish under the cabinet starts to look duller than the rest of the bathroom. Buyers don't see architectural. They see a vanity that traps dirt, exposes plumbing, and offers less storage than a traditional cabinet. Today's buyers prefer practicality over visual lightness. If you still want a clean modern bathroom, a full-height vanity with concealed legs delivers the same crisp lines without the hidden gap. A furniture-style vanity in natural wood adds warmth and full storage. Popcorn ceilings. Popcorn ceilings were once seen as a practical solution to hide imperfections and absorb sound. They felt modern at the time and gave off a finished, low-maintenance look. But in real life, the texture became a magnet for everything you do not want on a ceiling. The core issue is that the rough surface traps dust, holds stains, and resists every attempt at cleaning. A faint yellow tint develops above kitchens and bathrooms, where steam and cooking residue rise and settle. Cobwebs cling to the bumpy surface and remain visible long after they would brush away from a smooth ceiling. When sunlight enters at a low angle, the texture casts thousands of small shadows that make the ceiling look uneven and aged. You look up, and the ceiling no longer reads as a background, it reads as a flaw. Over time, sections begin to chip. Small flakes fall onto furniture during temperature changes. Repairs are nearly impossible to match. Buyers don't see practicality. They see a ceiling that signals an older home that has not been updated. Agents often recommend removing popcorn ceilings before listing because the change makes the entire room feel more current. If you want a clean, modern ceiling, scraping and reskimming is more affordable than most assume. A fine knockdown finish gives subtle depth without the heavy bumps. Edison bulb lighting. Exposed filament Edison bulbs were once seen as a warm, vintage detail that softened modern interiors. They felt artisanal and intentional, with a moody, cafe-inspired glow. But in real-life use, the visual charm does not translate into livable light. The core issue is that Edison bulbs produce far less brightness than the rooms they were placed in actually need. When you sit down to read at a kitchen island lit only by exposed filament pendants, you find yourself leaning closer to the page. Cooking under these fixtures means chopping onions in a yellow haze where colors lose definition. The dining table receives a warm glow that looks beautiful in photographs, but leaves the corners in shadow. The bare filament glares directly into your eyes whenever you look toward the fixture. You squint, you adjust, and eventually start avoiding rooms where these lights are the main source. After a year or two, the bulbs themselves begin to look dated. What once felt original now reads as a fixture from a specific moment in time. Buyers don't see atmosphere. They see a lighting plan that does not function. Today's buyers want layered functional lighting that adapts to different times of day. If you want warm light without the limitations, modern LED bulbs in soft white tones with a frosted finish deliver the same atmosphere with usable brightness. Oversized glow bulbs in soft, milky glass provide presence without glare. Bathtubs inside the shower. Standalone bathtubs placed inside an open shower zone were once seen as the height of spa-inspired design. Combining the tub and shower seemed to expand the bathroom visually. But in real-life use, the open layout creates a maintenance challenge no one warns you about. The core issue is that water from the shower reaches every surface, and the tub becomes another object that must be cleaned constantly. Soap scum builds up on the outside of the tub where the shower spray hits it daily. Water collects in the narrow space between the tub and the wall, a gap almost impossible to dry completely. Hard water spots form on the curved exterior within weeks. Cleaning the tub means reaching behind it, around it, and underneath it, often kneeling on a wet floor. Over months, the seal where the tub meets the floor begins to discolor. Mildew appears in seams that never fully dry between uses. Buyers don't see spa. They see a layout that wastes square footage and demands twice the cleaning of a traditional bathroom. Today's market prefers clearly defined zones, a tub in one space, a shower in another. If you love the look of a freestanding tub, place it outside the shower in a clearly separated zone with its own dry floor. A deep alcove tub with a glass shower wall above gives both functions without the burden. Fully open concept floor plans. Fully open floor plans were once seen as the future of residential design. They felt spacious and social, with a sense of light and flow that closed homes could not match. But in real-life use, the absence of walls creates more problems than it solves. The core issue is that sound, smell, and visual clutter from one zone travel freely into every other zone. Cooking smells from breakfast linger in the living room cushions hours later. The sound of a dishwasher running competes with the television across the room. Light from kitchen ceiling fixtures bounces off every surface, making it impossible to dim the dining area independently. Toys, papers, and unfinished projects in one corner remain visible from every seat in the house. You sit down to read and hear every refrigerator hum, every chair scrape, every conversation from the next room. Over time, the lack of separation becomes exhausting. Families find themselves on top of each other with no quiet corner. Buyers don't see openness. They see a layout that offers no privacy and no acoustic separation. Today's buyers, especially those working from home, are returning to defined rooms with clear purposes. If you want connection without chaos, partial walls or wide cased openings can separate zones while still allowing light and movement between them. Glass interior doors deliver privacy without sacrificing brightness. The overdone modern farmhouse. The modern farmhouse aesthetic was once seen as a fresh, warm reaction against cold contemporary design. The combination of black hardware, wood accents, white walls, and rustic textures promised timeless character. But in real-life use, the style has been repeated so many times it has lost its identity. The core issue is that every element associated with modern farmhouse, the shiplap, the barn door, the apron sink, the black window, the wood beam, has been used in so many homes that it now reads as predictable rather than personal. A black metal pendant light that once felt intentional looks identical to the one in the kitchen down the street. The reclaimed wood beam matches the one in every home in the neighborhood. White subway tile, black grout, brass hardware, and a wood accent wall appear in nearly every renovation from the last decade. You walk through 3 houses on a Saturday and cannot remember which features belong to which home. After a few years, the look that promised timeliness begins to feel like a specific moment in the past. The signature elements age together, which makes the dating more obvious. Buyers don't see character. They see a style they have already seen too many times. Today's buyers want homes that feel personal, layered, and rooted in the architecture of the house itself. If your home naturally has farmhouse character, preserve the original wood floors, trim, and built-ins rather than overlaying new elements on top. For homes leaning more modern, choose a single warm material like natural oak or unlacquered brass and let it speak quietly throughout. Gray everything. Gray on gray interiors were once seen as the safest path to a sophisticated contemporary home. They felt elegant and neutral and promised timelessness and visual calm. But in real-life use, gray drains warmth from every room it touches. The core issue is that gray is a cool color, and when it covers floors, walls, cabinets, and furniture all at once, the home stops feeling like a home. In rooms with northern light, the gray turns slightly blue and the air itself feels colder. Wood furniture placed against gray walls looks washed out, losing its richness. Skin tones look paler in gray bathrooms. You walk in from outside on a sunny day, and the temperature seems to drop the moment the door closes. Over months and years, gray begins to read as institutional rather than elegant. Different shades that once worked together start to clash subtly. Buyers don't see sophisticated. They see a home that has lost its warmth and personality. Today's market is moving firmly toward warm whites, earthy creams, soft taupes, and natural wood tones. If you want a neutral palette that still feels alive, warm white walls paired with natural oak floors and cream-toned upholstery bring it to life. Soft sage, muted terracotta, or a warm clay tone on a single accent wall introduces color without overwhelming the space. A home's value at sale is not only about square footage or location. It is about the trends that have aged inside it. The styles you just saw can look intentional now, but they often turn into drawbacks during a real transaction. Once buyers form a negative impression, you lose most of your leverage in the negotiation. Does your home have any of these trends?